So I was like plunging it, and then when I went to like flush it, for some reason it like spouted water like out of the toilet, like poop water.
Probably not a good question to ask when I'm sitting here eating chocolate.
Nope.
All right, we're back for another Walking Dead retro review. We got a little vacation. I think my judgment of time was a little off. I think 2 weeks turned into 3 weeks, and if it was not for Jessi being like, yo, when we gonna start podcasting again? I was like, has it been 2 weeks? Like, I think it's almost 3 weeks. I was like, okay, well, I guess we should get back to that then. But I'm Justin.
I'm Jessi.
And we are the Podcasting Dead. We podcast about The Walking Dead, amongst other things. In fact, we're going to be covering the new Last of Us show on HBO. And we want to start adding more. So make sure you tune in. I don't normally sound this nasally. I had the flu a week and a half ago. Got rid of that just in time to get a nice big heaping case of the C word that you're not allowed to say on YouTube.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I've been quarantined, having the suckiest New Year's ever. And I'm just now getting my appetite back, so you got to forgive me. I'm going to be eating chocolate the whole time. But
well, you're bringing in the new year, eating chocolate and podcasting with me, so it really doesn't get better than that.
it's a darn good start to the year. And it's caramel chocolate.
Ooh.
Caramel chocolates.
Good stuff.
But anyways, Jessi, I'm sure you enjoyed your break, but I'm sure you're ready to get back to talking about The Walking Dead.
I am ready. And you know what? Time is weird. It's like Christmas to New Year's, time is not the same as it normally is. So you are forgiven.
Thank you.
I didn't realize how long it had been either. I'm
glad you messaged me. It'd be like February. You'd be like, yo,
yeah.
we podcasting? But oh man, it's been 2 weeks. But
well,
anyway.
I was ready to watch the next episode, and I have been holding off until we decided on a day to podcast. So
you're a good sport. Speaking of the next episode, we are talking about season 4, episode 9. This episode is called After. It originally aired February the 9th of 2014. It was directed by Greg Nicotero and written by the man himself, Mr. Robert Kirkman, who, Jessi, if you don't know that name, he's the guy who wrote the comics. So that was cool. So coming off of that governor high of the big battle, the mid-season finale of season 4, how did you feel with this episode 9?
It definitely took it down a few notches, but I really liked it. I'm really glad that Michonne found Rick and Carl. But also, I thought they for sure would have a plan, but it seems as if they did not.
Well, I think their plan was the buses, but I don't think they expected any enemies to arrive with the tank. You know what I mean? I think the tank was the variable that just threw everything so far off, because the thought that someone would roll up with maybe some machine guns and stuff, I think they were ready for that. But the fact that everything you had was going to be getting blown up around you, you might want to check on her. I think she fell. The fact that everything around you was getting blown up, I think that threw them off. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I feel like they should have been prepared for anything. I find it hard to believe that they didn't have a plan. There was nobody decided on a meeting spot.
I mean, yeah, you would have definitely thought there'd be all right, if we ever get attacked and we all get split up, because it's the apocalypse, it's definitely a possibility. Like, we have this rendezvous point. Like, we're always gonna go. I mean, hell, I don't know how far away from the farm they are at this point, but I would have still been going back, keeping tabs on like the farm to see if that had cleared out at any point.
Well, I'm sure Michonne was, but she didn't report back, I guess. She was just looking for the governor.
How sad was it? And, I've had listeners fuss at me in the comment section for eating and podcasting at the same time. But you know what? You try going through the flu and the C word literally back to back. My back still hurts. I had all kinds of weird symptoms. I have lost weight. I haven't been eating for 2-3 weeks. Y'all got to bear with me here. But how about seeing Herschel at the beginning of the episode? Wasn't that heartbreaking?
That was. It was so sad. And to see him, he had turned.
Mm-hmm.
And then Michonne, I don't know. It was a way to start the episode for sure.
And I mean, you could just tell how much Michonne hated to have to put him down, because I think everybody there loved him. Everybody had a bond with Herschel.
I know. But it was just like the last time we saw them together, they were just like, it was when the governor had rolled up on them, and it was them just like chilling and laughing and having a good time. And then it's just like, I don't know.
They were living their best life.
They really were.
Well, they had just survived that horrible night at the prison. Because you got to think, all this is happening like back to back to back. They had the whole thing in the prison where people were turning, and Glenn almost died, and Sasha won't doing hot, and all of that was happening. They just got the meds and got some semblance of normalcy back, and then boom, the governor rolls up, blows half the prison away. So, I mean, there was, they were in good spirits, and then here comes the governor to ruin it all.
Leave it up to the governor.
The good old governor.
I'm glad he's dead, though.
But I really, I'm like you. I think one day if you go back and rewatch this show, there will be episodes that you didn't like, or not that you didn't like, but episodes you didn't like as much that you'll go back and rewatch and find some value in. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. For me, this was certainly one of those, because after that high of the governor battle, and then imagine us watching it week to week, that was the mid-season finale. So that happened, I guess, in the fall, and we had to wait from like October or November all the way until like February. So we had that big gap there of like, what are they going to do? Who's going where? And then, when you come back to an episode like this, like you said, it's not bad. It's just slower. But yeah, there's a lot of really deep meaning in this episode. I mean, I love that, like even in the beginning when Rick and Carl are in that store, and Rick tells him not to shoot the zombie, he's got it, and Rick's kind of weak, so he can't get the axe quite right, and Carl shoots it anyway, and Rick says you could have used that bullet later, or you might need it later. And he did. Like, he totally did. I think Carl was getting a little too big for his britches behind the safety of those fences, and starting to feel invincible. And then, like, this episode, we see him telling his dad, because I'm not gonna lie, there are several times in this show where I've wanted to backhand Carl, and this episode was one of them, when it's like, your poor old dad just watched someone who was like a father figure to him just get his head chopped off. Just everything he'd worked hard to build has just been destroyed. He's clearly gotten his butt kicked, is not doing hot. And the last thing he needs is some bratty kid yelling, I don't need you. But then, I don't know. That's where I say the second viewing thing. Now that I rewatch it, I kind of get it. Like I kind of see Carl's perspective of his anger. It's not that he does have anger with his dad, but it's just, that's a lot for a child of his age to take in, It
really is. And plus, not to mention the fact that when you're his age, you think your parents can always save you from anything. Like, well, I feel like that's how you should feel. Right. But, like, they're your protector. They know how to fix everything. That's who you go to. And then to, like, see his dad lose everything and have, like, his little sister to maybe died. I don't think she's dead, and his mom, like, it's hard. It's hard for Rick. Can you imagine your kid having to see you basically like fail at these things, even though you're trying like the hardest?
And that's life. I feel like we see I don't think we realized it growing up, but we watched our parents fail a lot and didn't quite. It wasn't in those those circumstances, but it's kind of an analogy for real life, because you do kind of think your parents are God and they can do no wrong and they can make everything right. And it's like, in reality, once you grow up, you realize, man, they really were just winging it like everybody else.
Mm-hmm. And now that I'm a parent, I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing ever.
And like your parents, your kids, believe it or not, you probably think that, you're like God. I mean, you can do anything and fix anything. You've got all the answers, and like, you don't. You're figuring it out as you go.
And Carl feels like he can do a better job than his dad, but I'm glad that he got himself a little reality check.
I am too. He needed to be humbled. And like I said, this episode, after rewatching it a few times, like I said, first time I watched it, I was ready to backhand Carl. I was like, you just shut up, kid. But then after now seeing it a few more times, I have a little more empathy for Carl, because at the end of the day, he is just a child. He's a kid. You know, he doesn't process the world the way that we do. This is all new to him. And he had the safety and security of like school and normal routines. You know, kids need routines, and then like the world ends. So like, I get it. I get why he's angry. He thinks his sister's dead. He, you know, lost his home. All of these things. And I think, you know, he thought his dad was the one that would save them all. And then his dad inadvertently failed. And also too, you know, I think he holds resentment in that whole, remember he was talking about the farmer thing, like y'all just wanted to play farmer and pretend that, you know, everything wasn't bad. So I kind of get it. When Rick had that moment, like, so Rick crashes for what, like a full day or two?
Yeah. I thought he was a goner.
I was going to say, did you think he had turned?
I didn't know. I thought either him or Carl were going to die this episode. I mean, I was pretty sure Rick wasn't going to, because I'm pretty sure he lasts for a few seasons. But I had my doubts.
Well, I definitely was with you the first time I watched it. I remember thinking like, oh my God, Carl's about to die. I mean, like, especially when he got in that house and that zombie like came out of the room.
Yeah.
Before he, you know, it was a lot of little things about this episode that I liked, especially, you know, The Walking Dead is, in my opinion, it's not quite as deep as something like Game of Thrones as far as the lore and everything. But like Game of Thrones, you can go back through and rewatch these episodes and find little details. Like I like how Carl sees the TV with the PlayStation or Xbox, whatever game system it was. And, you know, he kind of has that momentary like kid excitement of like, oh man, video games. And then he just kind of collects himself and sighs and starts ripping the cables out so he can use those. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I felt bad for him in that moment.
I did too. What do you think about all that pudding?
That kind of made me want to throw up a little bit.
You wouldn't eat that much chocolate pudding if you had the opportunity? You're telling me you wouldn't eat? What did he? How much did he say it was? It was a lot.
It was like 127 ounces or something crazy like that.
You wouldn't want 127 ounces of chocolate pudding?
No, I can really see me throwing that up. That would be like the worst throw up. It'd be really thick. Ew.
Oh, and chocolatey. It'd be like sour chocolate. So it for forever it would probably ruin chocolate for you forever. Yeah. I mean, like sour chocolate, not good.
But I thought it was funny when he told Rick, I found some more food, but I ate it. And Rick was like, what was it? 120 something ounces of pudding.
Yeah, it was, like I said, I really, really like this episode. And I really, let's switch gears a little bit. We've talked a lot about Carl and Rick, but I mean, what about Michonne? She was going through her own journey. And I really, like I said, it's episodes like this that make me just love her so much because she's a character with so much depth. She's got so much to her. I think she's one of the best, most multifaceted characters in the show. I feel like some characters are just one gear. And that's really all they have to offer there, you know. But Michonne has got so many different layers to who she is. And like we kind of see she's starting to fall back into her old ways. She gets the 2 zombies and it's just kind of like, I guess it's back to being on my own again. And then I'm glad she, you know, changed her mind. Yeah.
Well, we're finally getting to see a little bit of her past. And now, like, I guess those 2 guys that she was with are the 2 that she had at the beginning, just because of that little flashback with their arms chopped off. But I really want to know what they did.
Correct.
Thank you.
But yeah, I like that too. I like how distorted it is too, like a dream. I hate when movies and shows portray dreams as being this straightforward thing that's, you know, just and it's like it's not. Like when she puts the katana in the knife holder. You know what I mean? Like that's how a dream is. It just doesn't make sense.
No sense. But when you're in the dream, it all makes sense. It's not until you wake up that you're like, okay, that was weird.
That's a great point because that's how she was. In the dream, It's like everything kept changing around her and it's like she was unfazed by it. They did a
good job doing that.
Yeah. And she did
too.
That's
exactly how dreams are.
They're
constantly changing.
I think her as an actor too, how she does that scene of, we just get so many, like you get her in natural setting. Like she's dressed real pretty, got her hair done pretty, and she's preparing like a plate and, she's being just kind of goofy and talking really more at one time than we've ever seen her talk. Like just having a fun, flowy conversation, cracking jokes. And then like in the middle of that, she just has to break down and panic, which we've never really seen her do before, like actually be scared. So, I think that Denai Guerrero that plays her just does such an awesome job as Michonne.
I really need to know what those guys did though. That was so bad because one of them was her lover. So, like, what did he do to make her hate him so much?
We will find out in due time. And I will say that actually you'll get to find out sooner than later. There'll be some conversations soon that will shed some light on some questions you have.
I'm excited. Because that's one of the things I've been wanting to know ever since the beginning. Like, who were they and what did they do? Right. Like, what did they do to end up on her bad side? Right. Yep. And you'll find out soon. I love the look of relief on Rick's face at the end when somebody knocks on the door and they get up and all ready to fight and go and everything. And then Rick looks through the thing and he's smiling and he's like, "It's for you." Like that gave me chills. Yep. That for real gave me chills when he said that. I like how it shows her outside the door, like crying with relief and happy that she like finally found him. And then she like wipes her tears away and goes to the door. And like, you could tell Rick's just as happy to see her as she was relieved to find them, which was, I think. Can you imagine? It's just like the odds of you finding each other in that situation. Well, I guess they couldn't have gone far, but at the same time, everybody's being really sneaky. So it's like, it would be hard to find someone. Well, it's a whole wide world out there. Like you think our town is tiny, but imagine like without vehicles and stuff, if we were like to start at one point and then just go different directions, the likelihood of just like walking by each other in this town, you know what I mean? Right. Because there's so many different roads you can go down and neighborhoods, and I mean it's awesome. And I think I like when she goes back and she sees the tracks, and she follows and the pudding, and the pudding. Yeah, the pudding tips her off. Because when those walkers were overpowering Carl in the yard, I was like, oh boy, like I think he's gone, and then he survived, but and then in that house, I love it. I love that it shows that Rick was right. It's like Carl is wrong, but he's a kid. He's supposed to be wrong. It's showing that he's not ready yet. Like he's getting there, but he's not ready to survive on his own yet. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. He got humbled real quick. He's Thank goodness. I don't need you. You hear that? That made me sad. I know. He was just like, he says something about I'd be okay if you died or something. I think as a parent, too, those scenes hit you harder because we have our own kids and you know how much you love them and how much they mean to you. And just the thought of one of them, if they were to tell you, like, I'd be okay if you died, like that would be heartbreaking to hear as a parent. Yeah, especially since you literally are doing your best and that isn't good enough. And the fact that you would be okay if I died. It's one thing if it's like you tell them, no, they can't go to the bowling alley tonight. And they're like, I hate you. And you're like, whatever. But it's like, look, I am doing my best, okay? Look, there's no banks. There's no grocery stores. I don't even have my cell phone anymore. People are trying to eat us. People are trying to kill us. Cut me some slack here. But, like I said, on the other side of it, I can't imagine what it would be like to be a kid that age going through an apocalypse. Yeah. Me either. Kids don't deal with change that well. You know what I mean? Like change for a kid is hard, and that's a dramatic change. So Carl does have some wiggle room to be a little bit of a brat because the situation sucks. It does. What about the part? But I wish he would be a little bit less hard on Rick, though.
Like, be a little bit more considerate, Carl. Your father, your single father is trying.
Your single father.
What about the part, like, because it looked like Rick wanted to backhand Carl for a second. What about the part where he's like, it's a clove hitch knot, whatever knot he said it was.
Oh,
he's like,
yeah.
Shane taught me that. Remember him?
Yeah, I remember him every day.
Like Rick was thinking like, something you want to say, because he said it. He's like, there's something else you want to say to me? Like,
yeah.
Carl, look, your dad's
messed up.
Your dad's had his butt whooped, but I wouldn't try him right now.
No, and plus, that was your dad's best friend. It's not like Rick did him wrong.
Right.
Don't bring it up.
He's told you the story. You know that Shane tried to kill him.
Right. And it's like for him to use that against Rick, I guess that's a very kid thing to do, though. Like, that's a very teenager thing to do.
It's just saying what you know is going to cut the deepest. It's like being in a fight with your significant other or like with your parents. You're throwing out the most hurtful thing you can think that will hurt them. You know what I mean?
Yep. And he did it.
Yeah, I mean, I like and again, Andrew Lincoln is just such an awesome actor too. Like you watch, there's going to be scenes down the road that just like you're going to watch and be like, man, he deserves an Oscar, like Emmy, whatever. What's the award for TV shows? I don't watch them.
I have absolutely no clue.
I guess their Emmys would be TV shows and Oscars are movies, but I don't know. I really don't watch many award shows because I think a lot of them are BS. But you're going to watch so many moments and be like, man, this guy deserves like an award. And his acting gets so much better as the show goes on. Like, even if you watch from season 1, not saying he was a bad actor by any means, but like season 1 to now, his acting has gotten so much better. Like, he's just a really good actor.
100%. You know, I agree.
Because you weren't a fan of his acting on episode 1.
It was bad.
Now, so we know where Rick is. We know where Carl is. Where do you think the others are? Where do you think Daryl is? Where do you think Beth is? Where do you think Tyrese is? The kids, Maggie, Bob, Glenn. Where do you think everybody else is?
I think that some of them would have some common sense and think to check one of the or multiple of the places where they've been already. So like the farm or Woodbury. I don't know where else, but
yeah, I
would think they would at least check at one of those places because it's a spot where like everybody knows, you know, most of them know how to get, all of them know Woodbury. Well, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It would be smart of them to meet back at Woodbury.
Yeah, I definitely think, like you said, I do think that in that situation, you know, I would if I was in charge of a community during an apocalyptic outbreak and we knew there was a threat out there that might come back and try to take the prison from us, I like to think I'd be like, all right, here's the deal. You know, yeah, we got these buses, but here's a point, no matter what, we all go to. We all go to this spot. And we wait for everybody. If something happens and we get split up, like there's this one spot. No matter which direction you go, you make your way back to this spot. We'll wait for you. You know, but I don't know that they have that.
That really might not. They need to have multiple different spots because, like, this spot first, this spot second, this spot third, because you don't know if those spots are overrun. They could be, and it might be impossible for them to wait there.
We'll see. If I was planning it, that would be part of like a daily or weekly routine to go to these spots and make sure that they're clear. You know, like when you're going out on runs, swing by that spot and make sure that it's still secure, you know, and then
that's really smart.
If you lose it, then we'll plan a secondary, you know, because if you got too many different places, then people will freak out, start going to the different places, and then they'll try to get to this one, and then you end up losing people because you're like all looking for. So, you know, I would have that as but yeah, I'm with you. I'm surprised they didn't have like a concrete place, like even if it was just a small little building with some rations hidden in it, like we go there first. Yeah. But yeah, it's the back half of this season is good. I don't know. It's a lot of, I want to say like character. It's a little bit more character driven, which is good. I mean, I will say to prepare you, there are going to be some slower episodes like this, but you're learning more about the characters. You're seeing how the experience has changed them and how they've, so it's good. You're going to get to know characters a lot better in the back half of this because we're so used to them all being together and now they're completely split up.
I think that while they're all split up, Carol is going to be involved again. Like she's going to run into one of them, or maybe she's going to like save Tyrese's life, and then there's like a whole nother conundrum there.
So you think there's a possibility Carol may show up, save Tyrese's life, and then there's that awkward moment of like, does he know? Does he not know? Is he going to kill me when I go to bed?
Yeah, I think that's what's going to happen. Drama.
Because at this point, Tyrese doesn't know. Like they never got around to telling Tyrese. Rick they were in the process of telling him. Like they were, were looking for him at the end of the last episode. And he was like, Rick, come here. And we didn't even talk about that on the mid-season finale podcast. But, they find that like rat with its guts all torn out and like pinned up on the board. And Tyrese is like, we got a psychopath living in here. Whoever it was, blah, 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 blah. And they were like, Rick's like, Tyrese, I don't think the person that did this is the person that killed Karen. Because Rick knows Carol probably wasn't in there dissecting rats.
You never know. She'd be surprising me sometimes.
But then that explosion happened, and then boom, they go out there, and there's the governor. Are you kind of sad the governor saga's now over?
No. He was terrible. I'm glad it's over.
Ready to see him go.
I was, and I'm ready for the next one.
Well, we've got some interesting villains ahead, I'll tell you that. It's going to be an interesting season, but I'm trying to make sure we cover everything on this. I think we did pretty good. We always rate the episodes, so let's not forget that on a scale of 1 to 5. Hold up your fingers for how you rate the episode. 3, 2, 1. Were you waiting for me? Yeah, I did a 4 too. So 4 and 4. Yep. I thought it was a good episode. Like you said, definitely slower in pace, but they can't all be high octane the way the mid-season finale was, or else you'd have no substance to it. So
I still liked it, and the fact that I got to know about Michonne's past, that's why I liked it so much. Because I've been waiting forever to know. So.
We all were. When this show was going, we all wanted to learn. Because, especially me being a comic reader, I knew kind of a little bit, but I wanted to see how they were going to do it in the show, because definitely by this point in the show, and especially after that mid-season finale, we had learned that, okay, they are following the comic storyline, but they are switching stuff up big time. So, what's her deal going to be? So it was really cool to see that. They got
to keep you on your feet.
They do. And that's what some people I don't think understand. Like, I agree as a comic fan that there are certain points that you just can't not do from the comics. They're so iconic, you got to do them. But if it was literally just a live action adaptation of the comics and you knew everything that was going to happen, you'd get bored of it pretty darn quick.
Yeah.
And that's my thoughts going into the Last of Us TV show. I love the Last of Us game so much. It's like the story, the first game, there's 2 games. The first game, everybody loves. I don't think anybody hated it. I'm sure somebody did, but not many people. The second game was very controversial for a lot of different reasons. Some of them I think are really stupid. Some of them I kind of understand. But with that said, I still give them both 10 out of 10. Like the story, they're very character driven. It's so awesome. So it'll be fun going into that with like you and Matt and seeing it for the first time. And I'm keeping an open mind to like, they're probably going to change things up from the game. That's okay, because they need to shake it up. They need to keep you on your toes. So I'm stoked for that. And I'm excited to have a new show to be covering on the podcast.
Me too. Another one that I can actually be a part of. Yep.
And now be ready. Be ready, because I'm going to tell you, there are some devotees to that game. So when we start podcasting, they're going to be some very dedicated. There's going to be some people that are just purists. They're going to be in the comments. If we like it, they're going to be telling us we're stupid. They changed this from the game and that from the game. And that's okay. That's okay. Whatever. But nonetheless, I'm excited to talk about it. My Band-Aid is falling off. I need tape. And I don't have
Why do you have a Band-Aid? You have so much going on.
I do. I was putting together my daughter's Disney princess bed yesterday and sliced my thumb wide open. So
that's fun.
While I was sliding a piece of metal into another piece of metal, and it slipped, and when it was trying to, you're supposed to push it into like this hole, and my thumb was right here, and it went and grabbed my thumb and just pulled the skin into where it was going, and like I literally had to like pull my finger out, and like there's some of my skin is in her bed.
See the things we do for our kids.
Sacrifice. Oh, I told her like she wants us to take her crib down now, which we are, but she was like, "Take my crib down too," and I'm like, "I bled for that bed. You enjoy it."
Anytime she gets an attitude with you when she gets older, you'd be like, I put my blood, sweat, and skin into that bed for you. Oh yeah,
this is probably gonna scar every time. I'm gonna be like. But yeah, my Band-Aid's starting to... Oh, yeah, I bled through the last Band-Aid. Like, through the Band-Aid. Like, blood coming out under it. It was pretty gnarly. It was... And not to mention, I don't know if anybody's ever had the C word, but for me, one of the side effects was it made me very irritable. Like, I was just in a bad mood for the last week. So, it was not good.
It made you a C word.
Wait a minute. Oh, do I not have it on here? Oh, I thought I had the rim shot. Oh, no, I do have it on here. I got to relearn where all my effects are. They're all kind of moved around. And then I got... But anyways. Well, that's going to wrap it up for this retro review. Thank you so much for checking us out. Don't forget, we are on Patreon, patreon.com/thepodcastingdead. Last week, there were I don't know. We had a lot of Patreon casts in the last 7 days. I had the Appalachian American on one. I had Matt on the other. I had JP on one. So we're posting exclusive podcasts there that you can get anywhere else, just on Patreon. So go to patreon.com, find us, subscribe, and you also get these retro reviews a little early, though this one probably didn't come as early because... it's just the time's thrown us off. But now we're back on track. So we'll see you on Friday for episode 10 of season 4 of The Walking Dead. Don't forget to check out our affiliate link, moviepalette.com. Link is in the description below. You can save 15% by using the secret code. So go find that, use it, support the channel. It helps us out a ton. Like, comment, subscribe, all that stuff. It helps the YouTube algorithm gods promote us more. So... I think that's it. I think that's all the promoting I got to do. In the meantime, I'm Justin.
I'm Jessi.
And we're the Podcasting Dead. Goodbye.
Yeah. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Woo! Oh, I don't have my bags. Happy New Year.